Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're tuning in from. It's really exciting to see so many people have joined us for our third annual Modern Commerce Day. I am Margaret Ray, and I am, as Kelly said, co-moderating with my long-term colleague and friend, Kelly Gage. I just wanted to let everybody know that we really aim for Modern Commerce Day to bring in customers, speakers from a broad spectrum of organizational sizes, vertical markets, and global footprints. And our next session is really testament to that strategy. I'm really excited to introduce the gentleman here from Alcon. Alcon is the global leader in eye care, and they're very dedicated to helping people see brilliantly. They are, in fact, the largest eye care device company in the world. They invest heavily in innovations and industry firsts in order to serve their customers around the world. So I'm very happy to introduce two distinguished gentlemen here from Alcon. First, we have Joseph Stavage. How did I do, Joseph? Did I get your name?
Very good, perfect.
All right, good. I had a little pre-training there. So, Joseph is has had 20 years of experience in senior level management positions, specifically related to digital technology solutions. So he's going to have a lot to say to us today. And then Abhinav Abi, he is also with Alcon, back-end engineering lead. And these two gentlemen are going to talk to us about why this global organization decided to go composable. So welcome to the Modern Commerce Day stage, gentlemen, and please take it away.
Margaret, thank you very much. Thank you for awesome introduction, and welcome everyone to our session titled Focusing on Composable Commerce Future. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to our hosts of this conference for inviting us and giving us a chance to tell a story. And that is a story, much larger story of digital transformation at Alcon, as Margaret has alluded to. So today we would like to take you through our digital transformation journey enabled by digital health team, of which we are part of, and journey we have gone through with My Alcon Direct, all of which was powered by Composable Commerce. So here's our little agenda for the session. My name is Joseph Stavage. I am head of engineering for Vision Care International, and that is organization within the digital health organization. I have been at Alcon for about 2.5 years, and prior to coming to Alcon, I spent about 10 years at Abbott in various IT leadership functions, and prior to that, I was part of a couple consulting organizations in Chicago area. I'm joined by a member of my team here, Abhinav Abi, who is a backend lead on Polaris project, and he joined us from India. Thank you, Abhinav, for joining us so late. Abhinav, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Thank you, Joseph. Hi, I'm Abhinav. I've been with Alcon for the past 2 years now. Prior to Alcon, I was working with Deloitte. I have been in the journey of my Alcon Direct since 1.5 years now. So I'll be taking you guys through the architectural deep dive. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhinav. So I will kick this session off with introduction on what My Alcon Direct is and describe the journey we've gone through over the last 3 years. And then I'll turn over to Abhinav for an in-depth discussion and conversation around the engineering and architecture side of the digital product. And we'll leave a few minutes at the end for any Q&A questions. Okay, so My Alcon Direct. So next few minutes, I'll give you an overview of My Alcon Direct digital product and its main 4 phases over the last 3 years. And you'll hear us also refer to it, by the way, as a Polaris. Polaris is our internal project name, so they're synonymous, and that's how we like to call it, Polaris. So what is My Alcon Direct? As I mentioned, we are calling it internally Polaris, and in its simplest terms, it's a B2C platform for our ECPs, and ECP stands for eye care professionals, allowing us to sell contact lenses and other products to our consumers and patients. Polaris, or My Alcon Direct, ensures financial benefits to our customers the ECPs, by retaining their consumers and patients who otherwise may have gone to other channels, other online channels or elsewhere to purchase contact lenses. The platform itself is a hassle-free for our customers, which are ECPs, with minimal workload for them and effort required on their part, because our target audience there is really independent ECPs. From consumer and patient standpoint, Polaris provides for convenient and easy to use purchase experience and satisfying trial needs. So let's talk about the journey we've gone through over the last 3 years. We've gone through 4 phases from the very beginning. And those phases are Insights and Discovery, MTP, MVP, and MMP. From Insights and Discovery standpoint, that took place in August to October of 2019. And technology behind this phase was very simple. It was just clickable prototype in Figma. And by the way, in the next slides, I'll talk a little bit more about each of those phases. Next phase, as you move to the right, was MTP, minimum testable product. At this point in time, I joined the organization. And that took place from July to December of 2020. And technology enabling this phase was very simple. It was React on the front end and MongoDB on the back end. And it was very simple and basic ordering system with no backend integrations to SAP and other systems. And the main purpose of this phase was to test and confirm the business case as a viable, commercially viable idea. And then at the end of this phase, we did a review of those KPIs to confirm the business case, and we received a green light to proceed to MVP, obviously minimal viable product. And that phase started in January of 21. And from technology standpoint, we had a choice. We had to make a choice. We went into RFP phase to ensure we pick the best technology for this digital product. And the RFP included 4 different technologies for e-commerce. One was SAP Hybris, and that is technology we have currently in-house, and we're using it very well for our B2B needs and model. We also included Salesforce, Elastic Path, and commercetools into RFP. And aside from tooling, just technology itself, we are also being advised, and really we're thinking hard about looking beyond traditional e-commerce architecture model and embrace composable commerce and mock architecture. And in the end of the RFP process, we chose commercetools as our engine for Polaris, which then we built around. And Abhinav will talk about it in a few minutes. And the final phase we're in now is MMP, minimal marketable product, which is all about expanding and deploying the digital product to more markets while still keeping the product standard and consistent across markets. And composable commerce and mark architecture really allows us to be flexible, enable speed to implement where needed and where required by any local regulations or legal requirements. So let's do a bit of a deep dive into these phases, and let's start with Insights and Discovery, which took place from August to October 2019. So within this phase, the focus was primarily about identifying the potential business models for one of our affiliates, one of our markets. And this was done via a round of iterations on existing research. We've then completed many interviews with many stakeholders. That includes ECPs, consumers, etc. From that, we followed on to ideation session, which was conducted to develop very specific business models. And finally, one specific business model was chosen and then further refined, and clickable prototype was tested with users to get early customer feedback and do iterations to refine the business model. So here you see potential customer and consumer journey, which will be outlined by clickable prototype. And not all the steps of this flow made it into the next phase, the MTP. So that's the part of the really journey we've embarked upon. So what is next? Next is MTP phase, the minimal testable product phase. And that phase started in July of 2020. We have built here a functional app. I shouldn't say app. It's not a mobile app, but a responsive web app. And we piloted this starting in October of 2020 with 5 ECPs in Japan. We built this product, which was much more obviously than just clickable prototype. However, it's not fully featured system yet because we don't have really any automated integration to backend systems, our SAP system as an example. We did have integration to the payment gateway, but that was really about the only integration we built because we still needed to place an order. As I mentioned earlier, the objective of this phase, MTP, was to make the least effort to get the maximum amount of validation of customer and consumer learning, and obviously confirm the business case. So in this slide, I'd like to just call out and show how previous slide was showing idea and outline of the journeys to this slide where it's showing real life implementation in October of 2020 for ECP and consumer journey, and at which step we are tracking key metrics for the purposes of MVP go no go decision to allow us to go to the next phase, which is MVP phase. What followed obviously was the MVP. And what are the key differences from MTP to MVP? Obviously, there's more users. We're going beyond 5 users. So we're starting to expand to 200 and beyond. We obviously build more features. We build a full set of integrations that Abhinav will walk you through to our various backend systems or external systems. We also start building organization around it as well, customer service setup, etc. As I mentioned, Abhinav will soon explain more on the final composable commerce smart architecture powering this and beyond. And last but not least, after MVP, we're in the phase we're in now. We're expanding. So MVP process is not over, and this process really never ends. We're calling it MMP, minimal marketable product. And learnings from the previous phase for the initial rollout in Japan are reflected here. We made the system, we completed national launch in Japan, and we also launched the pilot in Poland this year and are working on deploying it to other markets in EU and other parts of the world. With that perspective on My Alcon Direct and what it is, I think let's talk about how that was all done in technology. And with that, I would like to hand this over to Abhinav, who is an incredible backend lead and overall architect, who will walk us through engineering side of the house. Abhinav?
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. Okay, so this architecture overview it will be of the MVP model post our migration from MTP, wherein we were just using, like Joseph explained, React on front end and MongoDB in the back end. So when we decided to partner with commercetools, we had an option to either stick with a regular standard server-based paradigm or go with the serverless architecture. So I'll deep down and explain what all we have internally set up. So our architecture as of now completely is cloud native. We use all the cloud native capabilities provided by AWS out of the box. It has a number of integrations. The application overall is distributed through a content delivery network CDN, for which we use CloudFront. This allows us to improve the read performance of the application, as data or the content is always served from a person's nearest edge location. The front end basically is an Angular application which is deployed on the S3, uh, and the origin for that is configured in our CDN and is secured through the origin access identity policies. The backend over here is the backend for front end. It's a layer which is a basic middleware, uh, and which follows a serverless paradigm, as in it's all lambdas. So as you can see here, we have an API gateway which proxies or acts as a REST endpoint for all of our web-based lambdas. Now, why did we go ahead and choose lambdas? Because it allows us not to manage a virtual server. We can deploy without any downtime. These lambdas run on demand and are very cost efficient. And in for any particular API, the average turnaround time is also fast, and we can further fine tune the lambdas. Uh, these lambdas interact with commerce tools, as commerce tools internally provide out of the box APIs, say for getting a cart, for creation of an order. Now, all the Polaris related or the Milcon Direct related business logic are residing in these BFF layers. Uh, the the optimization or the creation of this entire infrastructure is done through Terraform, so that any change is managed through code. Uh, Apart from that, we have MuleSoft to interact with our ERP systems for data ingestion and outbound. Joseph, can you please go to the next slide? Yes. So as I said, Lambda is our basic compute engine for storage. For all the non-commerce tools compatible entities, we use DynamoDB. For configs, we use app configs, SSM, and everything is encrypted using KMS keys. It's encrypted at rest and even in transit. Like I said, for distribution, we again use CloudFront and the API gateway. Our application is a event based application wherein we do not have every logic composed in a single lambda. So you can think of this scenario wherein you have to create an order and also send a confirmation mail to the customer. So if we decide to embed all the logic in the main lambda, the turnaround time for that lambda will be slow. So what we have done, we have integrated SNS based mechanism wherein after an order is created, we relay a message to the SNS topic. There are other lambdas as subscriber to that topic which receive the event and trigger the confirmation email as an example. For managing or say observing the application, we have CloudWatch as a service. Every lambda has its own log groups, so it is very easy to identify what went wrong. With respect to the observing how the lambdas are performing, we use X-ray and Lambda Insights plugin, which is available in AWS. So there we can identify which lambda is invoked when. Now our infrastructure is deployed in Frankfurt, but we have also created a passive region deployment in US East 1 also, uh, wherein that facilitates us with the blue green deployment, so with the zero downtime. So at any particular given point of time when we are supposed to go live with the release, we switch the context to US East 1, the content is getting served from that region, and then once the main region is up and deployed, we relegate the traffic to our main region, and everything is done in an automated way through CloudFront origin groups. uh, Another integration which I would like to talk about is Okta is our identity management system. All the users are onboarded through Okta. It's a widget which Okta provides, and we have embedded that in our front end application. Okta provides us with a token. Against that token, all the lambdas which you see here are secured and has a authorizer lambda on top of it. So whenever a request is made, the JWT is validated against that particular request, and the internal roles of that user are checked, and then the main lambda is called. Uh, Joseph, can you go to the next slide? With respect to the other integrations, we have integration with Melissa, which our BFF utilizes. Melissa is used for address lookup and validation. Then we have integration with Drupal, which is used for static CMS content like product banners, notifications, which business owners generally want to display to end users. Then, as from a payment provider specific side, we have partnered with Stripe. Stripe helps us to collect payment, authorize cards. It supports multi-payment options like Konbini for Japan, P24 for Poland. Apart from that, the major integration which we have is commercetools itself. So, like I said, each and every commercetools API has been encapsulated or has been covered through a BFF layer, wherein we make a front end makes a request to get a cart. Our business logic is invoked through that BFF layer, and then finally commercetools is called to get or retrieve data or do whatever business logic we have to do. With respect to the other back office integrations, like I said, we have MuleSoft. MuleSoft here plays a very important role of a proxy that basically transforms the complexity of interaction between our ERP system, which is SAP Iris here, marked in green over here. So SAP is an legacy system. So We cannot interact with SAP in XMLs. So SAP gives us the XML, MuleSoft transforms those XMLs into Commerce Tools understandable format. That's how data ingestion is achieved. So currently, our major integrations which we have with respect to MuleSoft. Joseph, can you go to the next slide, please? Like you can see here, I can explain with respect to products. Now, how products get ingested in our system. We have SAP Iris system. We pull out a subset of products which are sellable as part of Polaris program. We ingest them into PIM, which is our enrichment system. Later on, data is fed from PIM to MuleSoft in form of XMLs. MuleSoft transforms those XMLs into Commerce Tools understandable format, and that's how we create products in Commerce Tools in our catalog. Same thing holds good for prices, inventory, customer master data. So suppose a physical store needs to be onboarded to Commerce Tools. So we sign a contract with the ECP. ECP is onboarded first in SAP, and then the ECP's data is relayed onto Commerce Tools using this inbound interface for customer master. With respect to outbound, there is an order life cycle which we maintain. So every order created in Polaris program needs to be fulfilled through SAP, as that's our fulfillment system. So once an order is created, we have a BFF job which picks that particular order and ingests that into MuleSoft. Now, all these messages, inbound and outbound, are not directly fed to MuleSoft. We have a SQS queue in between, which ensures the guaranteed delivery. We also have configured DL data queues, wherein suppose a message is not delivered for say 5 or 6 times, the message will automatically go into DLQ and we can manually intervene or set up processes what to do with that particular message. So an order is created, it is sent to Iris, our fulfillment system. Iris creates a sales order on that order, Polaris order, and acknowledges back with a message again through MuleSoft. And then we update our order and send an email to the customer that your order has been confirmed. The same thing happens with respect to shipping and finally the invoice of a particular order. It is also made available through Iris into Polaris systems. Joseph, can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, like I said, how do we manage the content? So if there is a holiday, say in Japan, then the business owners need to define a notification on the application in a very ad hoc manner to notify the consumers that delivery might be delayed. So we have partnered with Drupal. In Drupal, we have set up pages. In those pages, content can be altered on demand. So when front end makes a request to CloudFront, we again relay it through the API gateway to our BFF layer, which makes a call to Drupal and then fetches back the dynamic content on runtime. So I guess yes. So that's pretty much about the application. So we are open for Q&A, and Joseph, back to you.
Yeah, and I'm back. I lost connection for a moment. Thank you, Abhinav. I hope you learned something new today. We are very excited and happy to share more details and insights if needed. And with that, I'll open it to Q&A. I think we have 5 minutes left or so, and I see some questions on a chat here.
Yep.
Not sure if you guys can see them as well. Should I take it, Margaret, or you want to drive it?
Sure. Yeah. It looks like we have a couple of technical questions and a couple of kind of business questions. So why don't you, do you want to grab the GraphQL
Technical
question?
Sure.
Maybe?
Yeah. A good question, Kelly. The question is, why didn't you elect to use GraphQL? And I remember about a year ago when we got into building the product, we actually evaluated GraphQL. I don't remember exactly why we chose not to use it. I think it didn't meet our needs or how we were architecting it, microservices and event-driven. I don't know, Abhinav, if you remember any more details.
Yeah, with respect to GraphQL, uh, we do not pull multi-entity data at once,
Yeah.
which would facilitate or is a typical use case for GraphQL. So it didn't mean, so that's why we never went into that zone ever. So it's static HTTP calls and getting the data. But yes, now we are also planning to improve some of our integrations with commerce tools. So we might consider that in future. But initially, with respect to MVP, we thought about it, but went against it because it was not required at that particular time.
Yeah, thank you, Abhinav. Next technical question, I for sure don't know what it is, and interested in using AWS Event Bridge. I don't even know what that is. I
We
can
we
make it up by the name, but
we actually do use AWS Event Bridge. So, like I said, we have jobs defined in our BFF layer. So these jobs have a timer set. So even we use AWS Event Bridge to define cron expressions. So you can think like 50 orders were created in an hour, and we need to send everything to Iris. So we do not do a real-time submission, as we provide a bandwidth of an hour for users to cancel the orders. So after an hour, these orders are picked up using the event bridge cron mechanism, because this job runs after every 5 minutes or 6 minutes. And those orders who have been like pending or created status for an hour, we submit these orders to Iris. So we are using event bridge, and with event bridge, we have defined configurations for different markets. So the cron schedule for Poland will be on the basis of Poland time, and for Japan it will be for Japan time. So we do use it.
awesome. Thank you, Abhinav. And the third question we have here is from Anita about the question is, what were Alcon's biggest commerce challenges prior to migration, and how do you see the migration supporting your business growth strategy? So this is not migration. This is brand new product we built, but I'll probably change your question a little bit to say how's this product supporting our growth strategy? Um, and without revealing too much of what is our competitive edge here, is we're obviously trying to protect our future, and we're trying to go where everyone is going and where potential channel shifts may happen. Um, so it's super important to our growth strategy. And this is the reason actually we're part of digital health organization, which is a new organization created at Alcon about a year ago, which focuses on digital and all the things that are strategic for organization. Good question.
That was a good question. I had one too, actually, I wanted to ask you about is, Alcon's huge global organization. I think you're doing business in 160, 170 countries, if I got that right off your website. And, how do you view this kind of composable architecture in supporting that global enterprise? Does it make you faster when you're launching new regions, or what's the impact, I guess, on having composable in this environment?
Yeah, I'll expand on what I just said, Margaret. Good question. Well, ultimately, what we are after in the original RFP was the speed and ability to adjust. Um, if we were to stay with a monolithic e-commerce system, we would have challenges, as we did in the past. By the way, I didn't mention we built a similar product in the US. We would have challenges in adjusting to whatever it may be, and it was super important for us because this is internationally facing digital product. And again, as you go to market, you have different needs, legal, regulatory, and you need to be able to adjust and adjust fast. What is not part of composable commerce, but is part of commerce tools, what also is attractive for us is that true cloud native system. We don't have to worry about maintenance, upgrades, backward compatibility. We're given APIs and SLAs, and we just focus on what is important to us, what is our secret sauce, if you will, versus worrying about servers and this and that and everything else.
Excellent, good point. Well, I want to thank you both for speaking with us today. I am quite sure that everyone learned a lot from you both, and I'm guessing that there's still a lot of questions out there that will be asked in different forums. In terms of our agenda, we are going to take a 15-minute break. So anyone who has dialed in to Modern Commerce Day, please just stay on. And when you come back, just hit the next session. We're starting at 1/2 past the hour, whatever hour you are on right now. And again, Joseph, Abhinav, Thank you so much. Best of luck to both of you as you continue your journey. And we will follow up with you after the session.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.